Whitechester, Prison City of the Damned, is currently funding on Indiegogo. Please go there and support this city crawl for 5th edition and probably Morkborg, Grimdark, and Lamentations of the Flame Princess. There I was, minding my own business on Facebook, when all of a sudden a post shows up on my feed from Peter Adkinson. Peter Adkinson was the CEO of Wizards until 2001, the big rise in Magic the Gathering and everything, and he's owned and run Gencon for a considerable period. He's a fairly big and important but somewhat faded name in the role-playing game industry, and he was talking about how he was approaching his 60th birthday and how it gave him pause to reflect, and how he wanted to do something positive for the role-playing industry, for the hobby as a whole, moving forward, which is a lovely sentiment and a nice idea. And he was soliciting ideas from people who followed him or might see his post on Facebook. What could he do? What could he lend his expertise, weight and finances behind that would be a hugely positive thing for gaming as a whole? And I think we can all imagine exactly what people were saying. Tackle racism, tackle sexism, tackle transphobia, blah 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 blah. Fight things that basically, effectively, do not exist really within the gaming space, at least not to any significant degree whatsoever. And this was how it was. I hit the post fairly early, and I made my contribution, and I suggested that rather than doing this, that instead he do something actually positive, that he do something to promote role-playing games the way CAR-PGA used to, the campaign for the representation of role-playing games, the advancement of role-playing games. But unfortunately it didn't seem like this was a very popular idea. People would far rather have an organisation or a group that spends all of its time talking down games, slagging off Gary Gygax and the other founders, calling them racist and sexist and homophobes and all the rest of it. And these people are utterly convinced that this is some sort of endemic problem within the gaming space. Now, I don't think so. And they keep saying that there's boundless evidence in support of this assertion, but never seem to actually produce any, and so it went for that thread. I even used Lewis's law in that thread to say I'm sure people will answer disagreeing with me and demonstrating that the problem is the negativity, that they're going to talk down the hobby, that they're going to say that it's racist and sexist and homophobic and all the rest, completely istophobic, when it isn't. Gaming has always been more progressive than the society around it, has always been extremely accepting. So my suggestion then was to promote that, to talk it up, to say how great it is, to say how progressive it is and always has been, how it's always been ahead of the curve, how it's accepting so long as everybody's there to play the game. And this was very, very unpopular with the commenters, who just started slagging me off. I didn't say anything particularly strong back, other than, clearly this is a problem. You're demonstrating that this is a problem. But that was enough to get me booted and banned from that. But it left me thinking that this is what we need. Everything is relentlessly negative. The past is being reframed and revised into something horrendous that it never was. People are expanding the definitions of all these terms to an absurd degree, and there really isn't that much of a problem in the gaming space, especially when you consider that one single horrible person can create a negative experience for hundreds of other people. But that still means that the hundreds of people who aren't arseholes are the vast and overwhelming majority, and therefore that the hobby as a whole is not sexist or racist or whatever else. Now, if you think it is, I invite you to actually provide some evidence rather than just going, it's obvious, trust me, bro. And if you agree with me that it isn't, Can we do anything about it without Adkinson? It's a good question. Zang.
Whitechester, prison city of the damned, is currently funding on Indiegogo. Please go there and support this city crawl for 5th edition and probably Morkborg, Grimdark, and Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Horrible what happened today. See, I don't like I have, okay, like a lot of you, I hate a lot, you know? But I hate with style and creativity.